Bucks trade talks are escalating as we had multiple reports revealing some wild details surrounding a Chris Middleton trade. And amidst his benching, Middleton has come out and revealed the truth behind why he was benched and also spoke out and revealed his thoughts on his benching. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road now to 2,500 subscribers. So if you're enjoying the daily news and videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. But there's a lot of news flowing surrounding the Milwaukee Bucks, surrounding Chris Middleton, and obviously they had a big game yesterday, a game in which Chris Middleton was benched and they won the game against the San Antonio Spurs, and it was a very good game, of course. But the big question mark going into the game was A, why was Chris Middleton benched, and B, how will the Bucks play in lieu of Chris Middleton being benched? And among that, Chris Middleton came out, spoke out. We heard Doc Rivers as well. We have all those comments to go over, but we also have some trade reports and rumors that are circulating surrounding Chris Middleton and the Bucks in general, because in a lot of these trade talks, a lot of these trade reports, Chris Middleton has been headlining these reports. You can see this here. Bucks $160 million gamble trading Middleton to the Magic for Blazers star. Now, that's obviously using a lot of fancy words there in the headline, but basically, and the conversation I want to bring up today is a Bucks trade for Jeremy Grant. You see this here, Bucks are eyeing change, potential trade for Jeremy Grant. The Bucks, currently holding the 5th position in the Eastern Conference, are gearing up for a significant move. Despite the recent achievement of winning the 2024 NBA Cup, there's a sense within the organization that they need to do more to secure a championship. The sentiment has sparked discussions around potential changes before the deadline, with the spotlight now on Jeremy Grant as a prime target. Middleton for Grant, a bold swap. Reports have surfaced suggesting the Bucks are contemplating a bold 1-for-1 trade involving Middleton for Jeremy Grant. Now, Grant this season's averaging 15, 3, and 2. He has had years in the past where he was obviously a lot better than that. That being said, it's a very interesting one, because if you're the Trailblazers, I'm not exactly sold on the Blazers doing a 1-for-1 swap necessarily, even though they're both having, similar-ish seasons, albeit Middleton is older, not quite as good. But if you're watching this right now, leave a comment down below. Would you entertain a Chris Middleton for Jeremy Grant swap? Now, maybe the Bucks would have to give up their second-round pick. I don't think it would take a first-round pick at this point, but some assets. So Middleton plus a little bit for Jeremy Grant. And Jeremy Grant is very good. He's also been dealing with injuries, but he's averaging 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, whereas Middleton's averaging 12 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. So Grant's being a bit of a better scorer this season. In theory, Middleton's being a better passer and rebounder, though in reality, he is, of course, a better, numbers-wise assist guy. But if you watch Middleton play, he's been turning over the ball a ton. He's been looking very passive, especially when manning that, being in the starting rotation, he was averaging a lot of turnovers, and he started to force a little bit, and that's obviously because he hasn't been playing much this season at all, and he hadn't been playing basketball for a while. It becomes very interesting now, and as you look at the starting lineup, you can see the depth chart. The reason Middleton's not in there is, like we'll get into in a minute, he's been benched, but Taurean Prince has taken over that starting spot, and Chris Middleton has been running off the bench. He had a decent game, yesterday. It wasn't very great. He played 21 minutes. He went 2 for 7, something like that, but he didn't turn over the ball once, and that's been the biggest thing for Middleton is his turnovers. Now, as you look at his health and Chris Middleton's, way he's been playing this season, he is 33, turning 34, he's 34 years old, and he has shot the ball well. His efficiency has been very good, but his defense has been poor, and his facilitating turnovers-wise has been poor. And what that means is when you're running a lineup with Damian Lillard, and obviously, Dame is the primary focus for the opposition when it comes to, of course, point guard and shooting guards. You obviously have Giannis as the number one focus here. Dame's defense is not good enough to sustain, a starting lineup with him, Middleton, and whoever else they run, because their perimeter defense then becomes very lackluster. Now, they've obviously been running Andre Jackson Jr. to help compensate for that, which has been good, and Andre Jackson Jr. gets more minutes depending on the specific matchup on a given night. We saw it yesterday. He only played 11 minutes because the Spurs, obviously, they have Stephon Castle, who's a rookie point guard. There wasn't as much need for a point of attack defender. Chris Paul, still very good, late 30s, all these different things. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do decide to entertain a deal for Jeremy Grant. He would be a better fit, a better defender, a better rebounder most of the time as well. And you can see this here, strategic moves and cap space consideration. The proposed swap not only serves the Bucks' on-court aspirations, but also aligns with the Blazers' financial objectives. By parting ways at Middleton, who holds a player option, the Blazers aim to create cap space. So basically be a cap dump for the Portland Trail Blazers if they acquire him. And for the Bucks, Jeremy Grant's arrival in Milwaukee could fortify the team's roster, providing valuable support to stars Dame and Giannis. Of course, he is a solid two-way player. I mean, Grant is undoubtedly a much better defender. Undoubtedly a much better defender than Chris Middleton is, and he would just be a better fit for this team. It would be a bit of a risk, but it would kind of be going at a calculated all-in because you're not making a huge trade for, say, a Jimmy Butler, but you're getting somebody back in Chris Middleton. In exchange for Chris Middleton, who is interesting. And we've been seeing some reports about Jimmy Butler. We've been seeing some reports about a lot of these guys. It will be interesting to see what they ultimately do. But speaking of Chris Middleton and his benching, he came out and spoke out about it. And while players, particularly former All-Stars like Middleton, are typically hesitant to accept a demotion, Middleton seemed ready to accept the shift. He said, "It was just brought that it's probably best that with my minute restriction, that with the way rotations work, to come off the bench to play more meaningful minutes. I know what type of player I am. Just for the time being, I need to come off the bench. It is what it is. I'm confident in this team. I'm confident in myself, and this is the role I have to play for the time being." And this is following Doc Rivers coming out before and after the game yesterday, basically saying Chris Middleton's benching wasn't because of lack of performance. It was because he's dealing with tendonitis. He's dealing with a ton of injuries. It keeps coming back, his ankle injuries, knee injuries, all of his injuries. So that's why they're doing it, to help mitigate those. Now, for me as a fan who's watching the games, Middleton hasn't played well this season at all. The team has played better without him, and specifically the starting lineup has been better without him. And we saw that pretty clearly yesterday in a game where Middleton obviously didn't start. They started Taurean Prince and Ajax, and then AJ Green came off the bench. Gary Trent Jr. came off the bench, both of them, and played incredible. And both of those guys, well, AJ Green played more minutes than Chris Middleton. Gary Trent Jr. didn't, but Middleton does have a value and has a purpose as a bench player. He can come in, he can help kind of slow down and really set up that second unit. Now, whether they're running a second unit with usually, of course, Bobby Portis, AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., help have some more on-ball creation in that second unit, which can help open up threes for a couple of the spot-up guys like specifically AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr., but it also works too. It's not like Middleton's never going to play with the starting lineup. They'll obviously have overlapping minutes and rotations with Dame and Giannis and all those things. And he goes on to say that Rivers pointed to the tendonitis as the reason. He's not starting Wednesday, but it's just more of a minutes thing. He keeps getting the tendonitis. It's just not improving to the place where he wants or we want it. So we're just going to monitor it and cut his minutes back a little bit. I think we're thinking about this way too much. I'm being honest. The bottom line is that he's not moving every night the way you'd like him to. One night you see he's moving great. One night he's not. His minutes go up and down. With the way we want to do this medically, it's a tough go for him. It is a tough go for him. And the Bucks, of course. We saw him limping after the game yesterday in the locker room. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction towards Middleton getting healthy. He is 33, almost 34. He's not playing a ton of minutes, but the Bucks have enough guys to sustain that at the moment. But if they really want to go and try to win an NBA championship this season, and not just an NBA Cup, but an actual championship, a move regarding Middleton would make some sense, especially if you're going to have to give up some assets and you want to go in and maybe just changing up. Jeremy Grant for Chris Middleton could make some sense for this team as they continue to pursue other options. I mean, there's a lot of different rumors circulating. We're going to have videos for you covering them all. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on Chris Middleton speaking out on his benching, as well as Doc's thoughts and this trade as well. Would you do a deal surrounding Jeremy Grant for Chris Middleton and maybe add a little bit on the Bucks side? Let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. See you guys later.